We have myself here, Commissioner Isom, and Representative Clark here right now. And we have Commissioner King, co-chair. First thing on the agenda is the minutes of August 16th, 2023.
That's not like a kick in the stomach, that's really good.
Yeah, we start.
But the 4 stories is
We're
scary.
gonna set the minutes for August 16th, 2023.
You can't say that. That's even better. Now I got to go to my constituent.
Next, we have the personnel update.
Hello,
Good evening.
how's
Mr.
everyone?
Good to have you here.
Staying here.
Uh-huh.
Um,
And the city needs to give it back down to 15,000.
so the only updates from last month's report. We did hire 2 recruits in the public safety department, which is Kaden Bravos and Christopher Alexander.
Mhm. We did, the chief introduced to us at the public safety meeting.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Open positions that we do have, of course, we're still hiring for PSO officers as well as 1 grant manager and the waterfront restoration and revitalization project manager and community engagement / outreach specialist. And that will be in the community economic development department.
Did I hear that right? It was waterfront and rehabilitate,
It's all one.
all one. Okay.
Yes.
I just had one question to Director Little. How
Did
is,
we get an invite? Do we know who that person is?
No, it's open position.
Oh, it's coming.
Yes.
Okay.
to Director Little, did we get any applicants for the grant manager?
We
Or
have
either
just,
both? Or both?
we've gotten applicants for both,
Both.
in the last few days.
Okay. Any questions? Applicants?
Any promising ones?
Some marginal.
Lower your standards just a little bit, Mr. Little. I mean, he got really way
You know
up.
how much the pay gonna be for the waterfront?
Not right off. I don't have it in front of me, but it is on Paycor. Mr. Lowe, do you remember what that job?
And the
Salary.
range of around 70,000. Just to,
Talking tonight.
I'm sorry. Just a reminder, that is the position that's being paid for by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration grant that was made to Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency. And they in turn are sub-granting to us to cover that position.
Thank you, Mr. Henry.
While we're on human resources, Honorable Chair,
Yes.
our public works has been a conversation for a long time. Are we still discussing how we can use innovative ideas or management skills to get employees? Or are we just gonna stay with the same program that's not working?
Ms. Dowdy, you know,
We did have a meeting earlier today in regard of staffing, but it was not to increase staffing because right now we just don't have the resources to do that. However, it was a conversation as far as how we can utilize the staff that we currently have, like basically training in other departments to do some of the things to take some of the workload off of some of the duties that public works.
Okay, to the chair. In the budget, the fire department had some additional money for inspection. So who's gonna have the additional money for public work? That's a question through the chair to the HR person.
I don't approve the budget, so I'm not for sure. That's out of mine.
We're not gonna talk about it. The HR thing matters yet. We're still in the work. We're still in the work.
What's still in the work? My answer to my question?
Answer to your question is still in the works, yes.
And you don't know nothing, Chair.
I haven't heard nothing about the fire, with the fire.
It's in the budget, Chair.
Right, right,
So it is not nothing I'm making up.
right.
It's right in the budget that we approved.
Correct.
So what's up with it? He said he's still making a decision about it. Okay,
You can sit- you don't-
I won't patiently wait, but I will dig you to get the answer. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any questions? Personnel, any more questions? Thank you. Can move forward.
City income tax.
City income tax.
City income tax update for the month of August. For the individual returns, it was $3,564.97. Withholdings, $124,516.80. Total deposits, $128,244.77, with a total refund of $2,528 and a revenue of $163. For the month of September to date, for individual returns, $1,823.98. For withholdings, $113,214.48. For total deposits, $139,038.46, with revenue at $1,707, with a revenue of $24,000 so far for the month of September.
But we're pretty close on returns coming in. Steady.
Well, we do have some coming in right now, but the majority have already come in.
Okay.
We are getting corporate returns, the ones that did file an extension. So now they're actually filing their returns. But for the most part, yes, it's kind of
If we get
the tax slow season. Give me a chance to do other stuff.
we get a huge amount of extensions.
Yes, normally corporations, they automatically do extension.
Any questions on the city income tax? That time.
Yes, to the Honorable Chair. How long and how often are the corporate extensions? Because there was some concern about the properties that the golf course line and bringing the golf course here, that those properties at one time were trying to avoid the city income tax and to put their taxes in escrow. Are those what we're talking about, or is that something different? Other businesses asking for an extension, and you can ask for an extension, but then eventually you do pay. So it's two parts. One, those companies are those housing in what they were calling the Harbor Town or off the M63 and et cetera. Are those individuals asking for extensions, or is it just businesses or both asking for extensions? And those who've asked for extensions in the past, have they paid?
I would have to look. However, the ones that's asking for extensions are business, not individuals. So therefore, the housing that you're referring to off of M63, those are all like individual, like homes, not businesses per se.
Right, businesses and individuals can ask for extensions.
Correct, but the ones that asking for extensions normally, typically are businesses,
Right, so
corporations.
that's what I'm asking you, are those who are asking for extensions, businesses primarily or only? And the second part was, those who've asked for extensions, have they asked for extensions in the past? And if so, have they ever paid? Because you do your extensions and then you eventually pay, or you extend. So I'm just trying to see what the pattern is, Madam Chair.
No, we don't have, most businesses that actually ask for extension actually pay when they do their extensions. However, you ask for specifics, I don't know, I would have to look.
In all housing complexes, those individual owners, we don't have any that are in escrow, they're paying city income tax?
We don't do escrow.
No, escrow is done by the individuals who are not wanting to pay the city income tax.
I wouldn't know. The city
Okay.
doesn't do escrow, so I wouldn't know if they have funds in escrow or not for sure.
Now, there was the individuals who were contesting, Honorable Chair, they were the ones who were putting their monies in escrow not to pay the city income tax. And I'm wondering if that has been resolved, and are they now paying income tax?
You're referring to the individuals that basically is earmarked towards the city for a certain amount of years, and then it goes back to St. Joe. Are you referring to those individuals?
No, ma'am.
I have the slides. I know what you're referring to.
Any questions, Commissioner?
Didn't get no answer, so maybe it's supposed to bring the answer.
Thank you, Dr. Sines. Everybody.
One last point, Honorable Chair. With the extension, it is the standard late fee, is that correct?
That's correct.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sines. Any questions?
I got a question.
Representative?
If a person is behind, like
Okay,
by some
good
month, if a person is behind, do they get notified by the city that they're behind on their city income tax? Or do they need, something let them know they need to pay?
So were you referring to businesses or individuals?
Individual.
So normally how that works is that no, we don't send notices every month. It's at the end of the year, basically when you file your income tax return, just like you do the federal and state. So therefore, when you file your city income tax return at that time, you're responsible to pay whatever taxes is needed.
I have one question, Administrator Dalby. I know we was talking about the compliance officer for the taxes. I know it's ongoing, but have we even started something?
No, I need to get back with Director McGinnis.
How we gonna?
Absolutely, because it's hard to do so because of the turnover that we're having. So therefore, we just have to kind of sit down and figure out who, for one, and make sure whomever that person is going to stay.
In that position?
Right.
All right.
In my, when you're referring to, Chair, the code compliance or
Tax
compliance.
the tax.
Well, what was myself and Director McGinnis, we were in conversation or are in conversation in regards of combining a position because right now he needs a person for the marijuana compliance as well as like to go into businesses to make sure they're in compliance as far as like having a business registration and up to code and things of the sort. So if we get a person that's already going into these businesses, when they go into the businesses, it would just be a absolute perfect opportunity to make sure they're also in compliance with the income tax. So that's what we're looking towards. So I'm not for sure if it's going to be like a compliance person or maybe someone in fire, not really for sure, but we're still in conversation.
Ding, ding.
Commissioner Henry.
There's that budget issue again, ding, ding. It's in the budget, and I need to know what's really going on.
It's in the budget.
Yeah, it's in the budget.
Position, yeah.
Yeah, so we need to know what's really going, if you don't need it, please, Chair,
Yeah,
I need to know
Yes.
what's going on with those, in that, how that money is circulating and leaving the general fund.
About time. Thank you. All right. That's it.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have, financial report.
Great. How are you guys?
Good, thank you.
Did everybody get a copy of the huge package this week?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to just kind of go through and make sure this, this is a kind of information you guys want to see. I've started with basically the cash, which we've seen every month, just a sidebar on the cash. It's still slow collection wise, and spending, budgeted or not, still needs to be watched over the course of the next few months because collections are so low. The second page shows the revenue and expenditures by operating fund summary. And if you go down the side, I've got all the detail you see when we put together the budget. So you will see last year compared to last year's budget, this year compared to this year's budget, and the variance and how much is spent to date. So I've indicated down by each fund what page numbers you can reference to see the detail, okay? So I can provide this if you like this format each month, so you will see every single line item detail by fund. That works for you. Okay. Okay, good. In going through the numbers, and I'll just highlight, when I look at numbers year to year or compared to the actuals, I usually look back and say, okay, how does this look compared to last year? Because we really base the budget based on our trends from the prior years. So I have a few just key points to bring up in each fund to explain some of the differences from 8/30/2022 compared to this year, if that works. If you look at the general fund, appears to be revenues are less than expenditures at this point. And it's a sizable number. It's about 890,000. Part of that is because only half of the property taxes are being captured in this season. We'll see the other half hopefully by February. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is there's the income tax project, which is the local road program. So we didn't have that going on last year. We've got it going on this year. So it looks like the general fund is struggling a little bit, but it's a budgeted reason. We budgeted, I think, $2 million to come out of income tax for the road project. Major roads, no revenue has been received yet for this year from the MTF, which is the Michigan Transportation Fund, but the spending is quite a bit larger than it was last year. And the reason for that is the Paw Paw Road project. the money came in and it's shared between the state and the city. The state money came in last fiscal year. So we got their portion of that road project last year. And this is the expense that's being incurred this year. Local road, not much. CDBG, not a lot of activity yet. The utility fund, go down. It looks like it's doing a little better. But one of the things that is different from last year is last year we had booked the $350,000 bond payment in August. It will be booked this year in September. So that will be coming through as an increase in expense for them. But those are the main. The other thing too, last year we had some projects going on. A main break that got funded by the state, but there were some extra projects other than the lead service line coming through the utility fund last year. So it is looking like it's a little bit better. And then we had a price increase too in the revenue. So those are the major highlights. And like I said, behind are all the detailed sheets, and they're numbered at the top, the page numbers, so you can, if you want to look at by department, by line item, you can see how we're tracking against budget each month. And right now, it's slow. It will start making more sense as the year goes on. But things are, I can understand the swings from last year, which is what I try to focus on.
So, question with the water payment, how's that, this percentage moving up, this people is not?
It should start, I would say, in the next 2 months, it will start picking up some. But right now it's running about 120,000 a month, and it should be 300 a month. If we mirrored what it was prior to COVID and prior to the shut-offs stopping, it's about 2/3 less than what it has been.
The last relief payment, it should be almost getting close to.
Right, it should be
expiring.
getting close, that the people that were current should probably October timeframe start paying again. Yeah. On the last, or the page 4, I just detail the major items for ARPA, lead line replacement, and water distribution system, all the large funding that comes in from the state of Michigan and the feds. Small expense that was incurred this month was for the cloud-based system that is still in progress. It's not quite complete yet. And then a little bit going on with the water plant and the distribution system. And that's related to the $27 million of funding that the state of Michigan is passing through from ARPA funds. So not a lot of activity yet this fiscal year.
What is the balance of ARPA?
Our ARPA, the ARPA here, there's 2.9 million in there.
See,
Thank you, Madam Chair. The major operating cash, we said, I think the call went out to cut expenditures, real careful with expenditures because of the slow cash coming in. Have we seen any of that yet?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some slowdown, and city manager and I review expenses before they're incurred to make sure that they are needed. But there have been a couple, things emergency wise that have had or going to need to be funded that are coming up. But no, we're watching the funding and the expenses, I should say.
How was the overtime?
It's been also sent out that it's supposed to be approved before it's incurred. So there is that edict that went out on overtime. I'm working on payroll right now, and there's, other than public safety, which is a different beast just because they haven't hired the people and the filling of the different shifts. It was less this pay period that we're working on right now. So.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Just a few questions. Looking at the pension, has the pension one been made whole, or we're still in the arrears with the pension? So first question is a pension, and then with the for the recent ways to assist my colleagues in law enforcement. Is some of that money for the salary increase or wage increases, that's going to be being pulled from the money received from marijuana, or is this going to come from the general fund? The next question is, we talked about water, and
So
the increase in
let her answer one question at a time.
Trying to write them down. I'm trying to write them down, but it is easier if I handle one at a time or
okay,
two. The pension fund, the city just received $6 million that went directly to MERS into the pension fund. That brings the city's pension fund up from 38% funded to 60%. So is it whole? Not yet, but it is in a much healthier state and where the state wants everyone to be. So as far as the raises for public safety, it's being funded by the general fund, but that is where marijuana money goes in. That's where property tax money goes in. That's where revenue sharing goes in. So we have multiple sources that are paying for the raises.
okay. The last two, so the water, the increase that we did to the residents before we got blessed with the Governor Whitmer coming in to the rescue and fixing a lot of our plumbing. We're actually doing all of our plumbing and helping with some of the sidewalks and roads. We had took that up to use that water to do those things. So the question would be on the floor, is there going to be a sunset to that water increase that we did? And I heard the commissioner speaking at one time that we have one of the highest water rates in Michigan. So question to that, if that's going to, is there going to be a sunset to give some water relief on the water bill? And the last, with the opera, are we targeted to make sure that those funds are utilized as often as we can within the time limit? I know there's a time limit of its expiration, but since we still have some needs, are there still opportunities to use those opera funds during this fiscal year? October a lot of times starts a new budget, for most government agencies.
Yeah. Okay. On the water, I can't remember what the sunset date is on it, but I know the the increases in water rates were scheduled because of the bond issue. And I believe I'd have to look, and I'll have to get back with you to find out. 5 years is what I feel like it is. Pardon me? 2025? Okay. 2025.
2025?
So that would be two more. So it would be 2024 and then 2025.
And then it'll drop to?
It should, I don't know that it'll drop, but it would, there are no scheduled increases due to the bond issue. Because those were part of the agreement with the state of Michigan to get the bonds for the water and sewer project. Okay?
You might want to remind them that when you do debits and credits, you're working on both sides of the account. We haven't had a price increase. The price increases were not done when they should have been done years ago. So we're still playing catch up.
Price increase, at that time, we had a water plant that was supplying other municipalities, so, the loss, put a strain, but then if there was ways to reestablish, and to expand and be competitive in the water market, then this city should see some relief. And I'm talking about the city being its residents. So the idea is not to see the continued increase in a water bill on an oppressed community, because in most African-American based, minority-based communities, that's one of the hardships that lead to removal of the minority population, which we call gentrification. So I'm not quite understanding the concept that continue rise in water bills, because senior citizens are on fixed incomes and their federal adjustments are not incorporated into rising water bills. And that's how we've had people lose homes. So I don't think that's the statement. We want to sit out in the community, that we want to continue to rise and rise. And what we want to do is fulfill the need, not necessarily individuals with salaries and continued income can afford rises where other ones can't. Because I care about the children and the seniors. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Henderson?
I just have concerns, because I know you're saying that,
Can you come to the
that the
mic?
general fund, no, I will not.
We can't hear you.
She can hear me. Can you hear me?
You got to record.
Thank you. So I just have some concerns in regards to the general fund, because it's low, and I feel like it's being downplayed in terms of what the availability is, what's owed. There's not very many water customers that are actually paying the bills. So if we can't continue to support that fund so there is some concerns, some serious concerns, and I feel like it's being downplayed for whatever reason. It's being downplayed. So I just need some explanations. Commissioner Henry asked some great questions earlier, and there weren't any answers for her questions, and there should have been. There should have been some answers for her question. The questions that she asked earlier. She was asking Ms. Galladay, but somebody should have been able to answer her questions. The city manager should have answered her question. So I have some serious concerns about what's available and what's happening. And those need to be addressed. Are we paying our bills? There's some concerns.
It is a slow process right now because cash is so low, because the general fund has been subsidizing the utility fund. So
Is there a freeze on all spending? I know you talked about you guys meeting and having conversations. There should be a freeze on spending, an audit to be done to see.
and hiring and
Yes,
things like
why are
that.
we hiring people we can't afford to pay them? We shouldn't be. We have work to be done. We can't even increase in public works because there's not enough. These guys are working and can't be paid overtime. There are some serious concerns happening with the general fund. And I'm not gonna be passive about it. We need to address it.
I agree. And
City
general-
manager, we need to address it.
the general fund is driven
And
also.
Commissioner, we are addressing.
No, these are being,
Well, I'm not gonna
yeah,
get
no,
up
we're not
in
gonna go back and
discussion.
forth, but I'm just saying because those answers are not sufficient any longer. It's ridiculous.
All right.
I'm not. You need to address those. Because it's more serious than what is being said.
Commissioner?
One of the ways to address it is somehow we got that water fund got to start coming back up and take care of itself, where the general fund don't have to do it. funding, so I don't know how we go about doing that, but, you know, that is a big, is that the biggest drain that's on the general fund?
I mean, every dime that's collected for, or not, every dime that's billed for the trash and the people that are being paid for, and the trucks and the garbage cans, that money is not, I mean, even if there weren't other arrangements that the utility fund has to pay the general fund for other things, that $500,000 has not come into the general fund that's been supposed to have been collected by the utility fund, because that money's not there because people are not paying
That's
their
almost,
bills regularly.
almost to the tune of close to $200,000 a month.
Mhm.
Because you see, you
I mean,
collecting
that's
100
100, and that doesn't even cover, I mean, 45,000 is what gets billed for your for your trash. So you take 100, you subtract 45, that leaves 55, and there's another 60,000 that's supposed to flow to the general fund to pay for administrative services and taxes. That doesn't leave anything to pay for staffing, F&V, any kind of emergencies that come up. So and we're still paying people, but it's coming in from the general fund or other funds to fund it.
Yet, you know, we hear folks, and I just had to say it, you know, we hear folks telling folks not to pay the bill, you know, that's like saying, you know, got a car that's almost on E, don't put no gas in it.
And it is double-edged because the general fund is built on, and the budget is built on $1.2 million coming into the general fund for services, and the $500,000 for, or that includes the $500,000 for the trash. And if it's not flowing, it still has to be paid.
Trash and the sewer don't have nothing to do with the water.
Sewer do. Sewer and water together.
Honorable Chair, I need to have you help me for some clarity. Because we have a phenomenal governor who's a do-it governor, roads getting fixed, pipes done, money sent by her here to try to make sure that we were not injured because of COVID in terms of water. So we're receiving water from the governor, but yet, when I say water, the money's for the water. And then we say that people are not paying bills. It's almost like sounding like her effort, the money that was given was for nothing, because that should have been, you know, she was paying the water bills for her Michiganders, like how she likes to call them, residents. And yet we're saying that money did not count in terms of going to the water bill, did not count in terms of utilities. Now, there are people who receive that money to pay those bills. Are we saying that what happened is that the mayor came in, but the bills were greater than the amount that the governor, the amount that the governor gave was less than the bills of the city, and that's why we see that there's been no contribution by the governor in terms of the water bill, and that the people not paying are causing the problems. So, right, so I need some clarity to understanding this situation when it comes to, we're talking about the residents, and we're talking indirectly about the governor in terms of water. How is there's a disconnect? Because I thought she was making sure that we were taken care of by the money she sent us. And that's not the case.
No, the money that came from the governor was for capital. It was for improving the lead service line, improving the water plant. Now, there has been some money over the last 3.5 years that's flowed in from the federal government when individuals went and asked for help. A lot of times they went to Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency and did get assistance on their bills. That was in the first part of COVID, and the city got a couple $100,000 flowed from them to us to help the people that could not pay their bills because of COVID. And I think Mr. Little also found there was another agency through the county that they could go to, my half, to get assistance, but that is on the citizen has to go to the agencies to get that assistance. The governor never sent any money directly here to pay utility bills.
So the money, the credit that they got on the water bill, that you divided up those millions of dollars, where did that money come from?
That came from the federal government. That was
Federal
the
government, not
ARPA
from-
money.
Okay.
That did not come from the state.
Okay, so the money that came from the state was just for the infrastructure. All right, thank you.
What's the total?
So, then that brings the point, so that money that the federal government sent did not help the water situation in the city of Benton Harbor because the water bills were greater than the amount that the federal government sent. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I mean, all the bills were not paid off by the monies that were received. The monies were distributed equally to all citizens. So if you didn't owe anything, you still got the credit and you didn't have to pay a bill for 4 or 5 months. So it did help for the ones that owed up to $700. It helped eliminate part of their past due. But if they're not paying regularly now, it's growing again.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay,
The
I
past
understand
due.
that, but we're gonna point of clarity and correction. So it wasn't for all citizens, it was for, because you have citizens who have businesses. And the
It
businesses
was
were exempt.
residents. Excuse me, it was
residents.
active residential customers.
Right,
The
just wanna make
business
sure that we're clear
customers,
for the
yeah,
record.
no, they
All
did
right.
not, they did
Thank
not
you.
get credit.
Rhonda, what was the total amount for payment relief? You had
This
two.
last one was $1,700,000, and I think I have it in is it $1 million the last time? You said $1 million, so it's 2.7, almost 2.8 million that went to utility assistance in 22 and 23 combined.
Those funds went to the utility fund.
Right, and they went directly, the citizens got a credit on their bill for the 2.7 million of the ARPA funds.
Want to make a statement. It said that, I heard Dr. Times asked about the money coming in to help people with their bills, and we do know that the money, and you said, and we all know that it didn't come to the city. It came to agencies, like Action Agency and other different organizations, I think it's on us, even like say somebody come to your office and they struggling, that they struggling, they told you they behind on their water bill and that their income and stuff, they can't pay. You can refer them to those agencies to get, get that help, to get that money, because it's gonna do two things. It's gonna help them get their bill paid. It's also gonna help the water fund, because the bill is getting paid. So, a lot of those agencies that I've found, it's kind of tough to negotiate through. And a lot of times, what happened, people go there and they got to go through, the red tape, and they get frustrated and they just quit. But some time ago, I asked, that we should probably have some type of
Mediator.
Mediator, or caseworker, or somebody to help, help them get through that process, because it definitely would, pay off. The more bills that get paid, the better the fund will be. So it's
Honorable Chair and Co-Chair. So therefore, what you're saying is that those agencies, that the money came to them, and it was because of this need, therefore, we're personnel, we're finance. So are those money being accounted for and reported to the city? They are.
Yeah, and
So
I
these-
have to report them to the federal government as
I've said
well.
community action agencies, and they're making sure, I know they're the ones who've been a hard time with the people, and people have to use the Catholic Church a lot.
Mhm.
But they do give a report,
Mhm.
and then we.
And I have to keep
report,
track of it as well.
And then we get the report, so we make sure that the dollars, we know where the dollars are going.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay, there's 2 yays and 1 nay. Commissioner Henry is saying that that's not correct.
All the money we've received in from Southwest Michigan Action Agency has come in identified by individual and how much they're paying for water and sewer, and it gets applied just like a check. If you give me a check, now we have a big long list, and we sit and enter it by individual and note it that it's from the Southwest Michigan Action Agency, because I have to then report to the feds how much, because we're like a pass-through for them.
Correct, like a
So,
fiduciary.
so to my knowledge, anything they've collected, they've identified who it belongs to, and then gave the city a large check with the information that was applied to their account. So if there's other money they've received, I wouldn't know.
Because we're liable if that's the case. So, because we need to make sure that their record keeping accounts receivable match what they're receiving from the federal government, what they're telling us match up.
She's doing her job. Thank you. Commissioner Henry.
Thank you. I just would like to know, let me go on that subject while it's still fresh in my mind.
All right.
And Dr. Kyle was asking, did we get it? We didn't get it. Finance got it. And that's one of the reports I've been asking for the last 2 years, when community block grant money gets put in to their program, and then can we get a exit report? If everybody says yes, that was last year, we didn't. We gave them more money this year. So now I'm listening to our financial director. She has that information through the chair. Would you ask her to send it to us, please?
Yes.
So all I have is a list of everybody that received the money from Southwest Michigan Action Agency here. I don't deal with the relationship
That's,
with them and HUD.
no, that's all we need to know. That's like an exit report to say, we gave Southwest Action Agency this money and this is what they did with it.
No, they gave us the money
No,
on my end.
community block
Yeah,
grant money
that's,
was given to Action Agency.
yeah, and that would be Mr. Little.
Do you get that report?
No, I keep track of the money, but I don't deal with the relationships with Southwest Michigan Action Agency. Those are sub-recipient agreements that are supposed to be,
So you get money from community block grant money and their money, and they send it all to you. And you can't distinguish if it's community block grant money or if it's federal money.
no, we pay Community Action Agency based on arrangements Mr. Little has through HUD to have them do work for CDBG.
Right,
That money goes from the city to them, and then we get reimbursed from HUD. What I was referring to is money that they got based on you coming in and saying you had a need, and then I take that money and apply it to your utility bill. So that's what I have.
okay, that's much different, so.
Yeah, I thought
Through
it
the chair,
was.
I'm gonna ask for this report again. There's an exit report for every time we give somebody money to do something for us. We need to verify that Southwest Action Agency did X amount, did this, and this, and the money, she's gonna verify that the money came into her. But we need to see, because of the stories that the people have been telling us about Southwest Action Agency. And I'm agreeing with Commissioner Singleton that we need a Osmond Bozeman or somebody, an advocate for, but right there on Main Street, they're doing that. They told us they was doing it. They said, we're helping the people fill out all of these red tape things. So the exit report will let us know if we're getting the best bang for our community block grant money. But if I can't get it, if you can't get it,
That's something Director Little. Director Little, you gonna speak on that?
Yes, sir, I would like to. There was getting to be some confusion there about different grants and so forth. Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency is one of a number of them that are around the state and in fact, the country. They are what's considered a CSBG, Community Services Block Grant Agency, just like we are a CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Agency. They receive money directly from the federal government to carry out a variety of activities, such as and including what was used with the coronavirus COVID thing to pay water bills. One of the very first things that happened when I came to work here was a call from over there because they wanted to pay $250,000 to the city on behalf of water bills that residents here at the city were eligible to have paid for them. Some of the confusion that takes place is that some of our people think that they exist only to serve Benton Harbor. They do not. They serve the entire Berrien County, Cass and Van Buren County. And that money comes to them from the federal government to do that kind of thing. We drew on some of the CSBG money last year to get the $75,000 that we use to help supplement the summer youth program. Now, the other part of it is they also, before I leave that, part of that money they get directly from the federal government also funds the 3-county weatherization program that includes adding insulation, windows, and all of that kind of stuff that goes on. That's one of the things that makes them a candidate for working with us on our rehab program, because they already employ carpenters and others that do that kind of work. We have a sub-grant with them to make repairs to eligible homes. And that is through the money that we get directly from the federal government through CDBG. Now, as far as a report, the CAPER is the annual report that shows how much money was spent, what it was spent on, who it went to, and that kind of thing. That report is being filed with the federal government on the 28th, next Friday. And a copy will be available to everybody here, and in fact, the general public. It'll be published. So that's what's happening there. We're kind of confusing different things. Now, the MEHAW program that was mentioned is a separate program. We have received some benefit through MEHAW, but not near what it could have been. MEHAW, if a citizen applies, will pay up to $25,000 to cover past due taxes, unpaid insurance, unpaid water bills, trash bill, sewer bill, the works. That program was just getting started about the time that we made the decision to release and make those water payments from ARPA. And as a consequence, the bills disappeared, so they weren't eligible for people to apply and receive the money. But we have been receiving some on an ongoing basis that comes in directly to our department downstairs. I get a copy of those notices when they come in, but they're not near what they could have been. So these things are all about the same mission, but they're totally separated and different.
And Mr. Chair,
Yes, amen.
may I add that this report is filed every year and is sent to all of the commissioners. So all of the figures are there in those reports.
Yeah, the Commissioner Henry, okay. Report.
Do you think that I get paid to look through 65 pages or something that I just want one little simple answer? That is not fair to me. I don't get paid like that. So, no, staff need to supply everything we need. If I ask, or you ask for one little document, why can't they pull it out? Why you gonna give me 65, 95 pages to read? Give me a break. Now, I'm through with that one because that's not working for me and nobody else. I wanna ask about where do we find the ARPA money for the water bills? When we pay, you said that you keep a record of them paying our water bills. But where do I find it in our records for what we paid through property tax, water assessment? Because water assessment was put on our property taxes, and as well as people were paying through whomever. So where do we see that in our document?
It would not be in this document because it's part of the accounts receivable balance, not part of the revenue and expense. So that would be another piece. The money comes in from property taxes and then it gets applied to, or put into the water fund to cover what got rolled to taxes. So I can give you a report on that, so you can see how much has come in each, you want 1 year, 2 year?
Yeah, because I
The
have
two
no,
big,
I have no
years.
information and I just love information.
Okay.
And I appreciate you sharing that with me.
Yeah, it's
You know-
separate from this.
Yeah, I hear.
But it does get
Flow
pulled
in.
out and it flows into your balance sheet
Okay,
and cash.
that'll be good, because
Okay.
I'm watching the money. Oh, Chair, I'm watching the
Thank
money.
you, Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Ms. McKibben.
And Brown, while we have you here, we're just gonna talk about the separation of utility bills.
Yeah, we're kind of in a little holding
checking.
pattern right now. Yeah, we looked at the quote we got from the vendor.
Okay,
And just doing the bills, plus he didn't have the right number of customers, so we're going back with him. So it's gonna probably cost $3,000 to $4,000 to, the separation part is easy, it's just gonna be the mailings, it's gonna be close to $3,000, $4,000 a month for mailing. Cause it's would be a separate
Yeah.
mailing.
go ahead.
Would the citizen have an option to opt out, then mail the bill and go on the internet?
I am not certain if that's set up through BSNA, but I can check. It would be something that would be built into our software. As far as getting an email, like an email notification that you have a utility bill.
An email and possibly getting like have create an account too, some type of account.
Talking about paying online.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's already available.
Well, I'm saying like I'm saying where they opt out where it be. where
Wouldn't
they
it be
want-
paper at all? It would not be any paper.
Yes.
I can check on that.
Mr. Henry.
Did we look at any other businesses that offer this kind of service? Because I would go back to counting them houses with the trash. There was a discrepancy about how many people they were actually using the trash service back in the day. Now, that question is coming up again about this company that we're using. They'll tell us we're gonna need to pay $3,000 more. I say go search for another company that offers that and see what they offer. I don't think that we need to just keep working with somebody that's not working with us. There is another company. I know that they're not the only one.
And we are working with another one. That's one that gave us a quote when he didn't have the right numbers. So we went back to him to ask him to revise the quote.
Okay.
Yeah, we have, actually, it's the vendor that produces the city's property tax invoices. They're already in the business. They get very, very good rates from the post office, and we're working with them as far as what it would cost to have them do our utility billing plus a split of the bill. So we are working with someone else.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you, Chair. The dollar for the late payment, are we still charging the people $1 for every time they get a late payment? That red one, you probably don't get it, you got a job. But anybody that don't have a job, they're paying $1 every month, that's $12. That's a bag of oatmeal and some bread and some whole lot of things that can be bought with $12. Can we eliminate that until we get to a point where we may switch over or we get a better service? So I'm just trying to find ways to make it easy for poor people, the vulnerable, the person that needs the help. So there it is. There's $1 every month that's sent out. You can't turn the water off anyway because there's a moratorium on it. So why are you sending them a late payment and they got to pay an extra $1? Now that question come up last year and we're still talking about it. My thought again on this, and I'm going to do this in my 3rd ward. I'm going to have some personal conversations with my 3rd ward residents and explain to them why they need to make a payment plan for the water and the trash and the sewer. Now, if anybody else knows there's a capital improvement amount that we pay as well, I want that researched. That's just more money coming out of the citizens' pocket. I need more information on that. You should want more information on it because it's coming out of your pocket too.
Thank you, Commissioner.
So can we talk about eliminate some of those expenses?
We'll take money to run a city.
No, you got to be kidding. All I got is that. It takes money. This is America. You got to have money to do anything. But if you don't take in the social injustice that our people have gone through for the last 500 years, I cannot believe the people in my neighborhood, in my surrounding, they think it's just marvelous that we're in a black community that have authority to fix things and we don't.
We put that on the next agenda.
What on the next agenda? She could take care of that dollar a month easily. They can take care of it if you ask them to. That's $12 that we don't have to pay. For what? Do that make sense to you, Jerry? Now ask him. Maybe it makes it. Maybe he can show us where it makes sense. But we could get $1 every month for a late pay.
City manager. This is $1 late fee.
Pay on time is not a dollar.
I got a question. How late can you be?
Calm down. Calm down. Go ahead. Go ahead, Rob.
I was gonna say, I don't know who incorporated the late fee. It was there when I started but it is, I have to think that it's to cover the cost of the printing and the mailing is what it is.
Absolutely.
So we just have to quit mailing late notices. And I don't know, I wouldn't decide that. Somebody would have to decide it.
The amount rolling over on the next bill anyway, right? So pink slip really is just a reminder that you're behind, but you're gonna get the reminder when you get the next bill anyway.
Right. And I don't know other utilities that mail late notices, because you will see it on your next bill.
Go ahead.
But-
Yeah, I did have a question. How late, I don't think water where I stay at. How late can you be on your water bill? Can you be like 3 days or once you do, it's due?
No, it's more
2
generous.
years.
Yeah, 2.5, 3,
2.5
talking.
Right.
Actually, 3.5.
Really, man.
I just got a question, point of clarity, that I'm hearing about, I think I missed, about the separation of bills. There's a company that we're looking to contract with that'll charge us $3,000 to $4,000 a month to separate.
The trash from the water sewer bill, and the biggest expense there is the mailing, the printing and the postage. If another bill has to go out, it would be, this company may be less than that, because they are gonna be less than the regular billing, but it's the extra mailing.
Yeah, Honorable Chair, so this is a point of clarity. So based on what the Vice Chair Commissioner Singleton had said, what I just heard, is that we are billing in between bills and charging the person $1. So we're sending out, and that information is going to be on the next bill. I think that was an accident logically, because if where you actually create an additional cost, it's the same thing as a person who's a mother who father takes care of the kids and she's unemployed or locked up, and they're asking her to pay and she doesn't have a job, and then they're going to fine her because she doesn't have a job, an additional amount they're going to add to her bill, and then if she's not able to pay that bill, they're going to fine her some more because she didn't pay the last bill and doesn't have a job yet, and then she's locked up so she can't get a job, but she still has a bill that she's accumulating now, a jail bill. So if you already, the system is in place, they're already to tell you that this is your bill. If you missed that bill, this is the previous bill that you missed, then you already have an efficient system. So to add a middle piece in there can cause undue financial hardship and doesn't provide any more information. And with postal rates going up as it is, I don't know if we, as a finance in terms of intelligence and compassion, can justify that additional billing when it's already structured in. So, and that's what our financial director just told us, that they're gonna get the bill and they're gonna get notification of the past due bill. And so sending a middle bill in between there, what the citizen rep was asking about, to charge an extra $1, what would be our logic when we're already telling them about the past due bill? I just want to make sure that we look intelligent to the people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Through the chair, can you ask the city manager to take care of that immediately? All he has to do is say no more. We don't want it anymore. And that might let the company know that we are really seriously trying to find some good service. They might lower their bill. They might want to get their hands rubbed some more. So can you ask the city manager? No, because you're the chair.
City manager, you go check look into, it has to be some kind of stuff, the commission got to vote on that.
Well, put it together,
That's
put
what
it,
we talking about, let's just calm down first, relax. City manager, get that ball rolling, thank
will you put a timeline on the chair, please?
you. Only get,
Asking for a timeline, please, because Mrs. Hildebrand can take care of it by one phone call.
we still got to vote on this.
Well,
See, we have a resolution
you can bring it to the next meeting?
to the finance, personal finance.
No, the next commission meeting.
But once he's work, get the ball rolling, how's that?
What ball?
The football, the ball is rolling, get the dollar off the.
What do you need to do that, Chair? If you need the full body to give a recommendation to do it, then put it on the agenda, but
Getting it together, Commissioner.
getting what together? Come on, Commissioner,
Come on now, you
come on, Chair,
now.
you need to
Calm
tell
down.
me,
We
make me
just
understand
discussed
what
this.
you're talking about.
We just
You
discussed
asking the
this.
city manager
He
to
getting
get
it
the ball
Getting
rolling.
it rolling on
What
getting
ball?
this- on the payment, the dollar off the bill.
He
But it's
can
still
ask
gotta
her
come-
to do it, and she could do it tomorrow, and it can be done in a week.
I don't know who has the authority to take that off. If it's Mr.
He
Mitchell,
got it, and
then,
we can
I
give
mean,
it to
I don't
him.
know who set all
I
the
do.
rates.
I do, I remember them setting it.
Okay.
Hey, Clerk Moore, we looking to see what this came about, the dollar.
Yes, I have a note to look and see if the commission actually voted on that
Okay,
to begin with.
thank you,
Thank you.
Didn't,
thank you,
they did.
thank you, Ron. Next we have, moving right along. Ordinance chapter 11, building code fees. Thank you, Chief McGinnis, for holding on, and good to see you today.
You as well.
Right frame of mind, take a deep breath.
Well, I'm good. I'm visiting. I don't not normally at this committee. Kind of like a fish out of water.
Can I ask a question? We have some people here from out of town to make a presentation. Can we take them before you, Chief?
See, you read my mind, sir.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking, yeah, I got other stuff going on. There's some more legs to this.
Okay,
I can come back, but I think in the interest of progress,
yes. Okay,
I have no problem with that.
thanks so much. Next, we have a presentation by Harbor Habitat Project T. Thank you, City Manager. Thank you, Chief, again.
Okay.
You have the floor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for allowing us to go next. Good evening, everyone. My name is Erin Hudson, Executive Director of Harbor Habitat for Humanity. I have with me my partners, Joe Ferrari and Shannon Morgan. Good evening. Managing partners of Renovare Development. Together, we are Project T Benton Harbor LLC. And we are actually submitting our site plan for review on Monday to the Planning Commission. We'll be meeting with the Planning Commission for.
Thursday, 28th.
Yes, we'll be meeting with the Planning Commission for a public hearing on Thursday, but we're submitting the paperwork for our site plan
Correct.
on Monday.
Right.
So yeah, we'll be there for the PD designation on Thursday of next week, the 28th. As many of you are aware, we received a conditional award, Missing Middle Award, from MISTA. And in order to get those funds, we need to have our site plan approved. We wanted to come today to show you the latest revision of our site plan and the changes that we made to secure this new funding source. We also wanted to give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have prior to us going into that meeting next week. The Missing Middle Award is requiring an accessibility and visitability requirement that was not there before, meaning that we have to have a first floor bedroom and bathroom. If you look at, it's the back of page 2 of your document, you can see the site plan. There will be a total of 77 housing units in this development. There will be 19 duplexes for home ownership, single family home ownership, and 39 apartments to rent. This is going to be broken down into 3 phases. The first phase will be 15 duplexes or 30 housing units for Missing Middle. That will be for individuals and families who make between 60 and 120% of the area median income. The second phase will be 4 duplexes or 8 housing units that will be built the Harbor Habitat way with volunteers. We will do it in our normal manner of building. That will be for homeowners who make between 30 and 80% of the area median income, in line with our normal practices and procedures. The third phase will be a mixed-use building along Empire, and that will have 12,000 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor, including a daycare and other retail options. There will be 3 floors on top of that for a total of 4 floors, 3 floors on top with 39 apartments to rent. We've been meeting weekly with the city, including the Planning Commission, the city manager and director of economic development, along with our development team, the engineers, architects. All of us have been meeting to make sure that we're able to put this together to be able to get these funds in a timely manner. So we just wanted to come today to give you an opportunity to see where we are, because it's been a while since we've been in front of any of the commissioners, but to see where we are and to address any questions that you might have prior to us going into the meetings next week with the Planning Commission.
I have a question. With the phase, with the 8 single family for sale homes, now, do the purchasers, do they have to, I know how you do your homes, they volunteer, help build them?
Correct.
Would that be in
Yes.
this too?
Yes, for the 4 duplexes that Habitat is building, the volunteers will include the homeowners.
Okay,
Yes,
so they'll be taking applications, so to get qualified and all that.
correct.
Early stages.
Yes,
Go ahead, Commissioner Singh.
So that means that the homeowner will be already identified before the building is.
possibly. It really just depends. Sometimes our homeowners get to work on the home they're going to live in, and sometimes they just get to build the homes of others. So they may or may not be selected when their particular home is built. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Couple questions. And I think I came to one meeting. My first question is, what's the time frame for this to begin building? And I ask this for 2 reasons. One, unfortunately, I got a double-edged sword. It's code compliance as well as police and fire for, of course, policing of the area. So it all fits. My other question is, unfortunately, not just in Harbor Bend Township, there have been occasions where there might be theft of tools or at night. When exactly is this so we can protect the site while it's being built? You probably don't think like that, but from a bigger perspective, we don't want to have your contractors tools walk away.
For Habitat, we do think like that, unfortunately, because we've had plenty of tools and shingles walk away.
So yeah.
But we right now hope to close and break ground late summer of '24.
I'll step in,
Okay.
just give some
Thank you.
more
Yeah.
information. Very good questions. Want to let you know, we of course are familiar where in working in communities that this is an issue. I think that we'll work really closely with your department and our general contractor that's coming in to coordinate any activities. We, as everyone knows, having conversations on ARP funding are under a lot of pressure to move as quickly as we possibly can to be shovel ready. That, of course, as Aaron said, requires us to complete the public entitlement process with the city and design and get through our engineering and review and safety requirements for the site. Our hope would be we could break ground as soon as weather allows in the spring. With that, as I said, we know that we'll be having ongoing construction meetings. We'll be talking about site security, fencing, and working with your department accordingly. To, we'll be required for builder's risk and other types of insurance that would be required for these type of projects. And we can talk about what that looks like for site, for trades and going back and forth. And we'd be happy to have a separate safety meeting. But I would say hopefully our goal is to break ground as quickly as feasible, moving through those, requirements. And I also want to just thank the city, both Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Little, for working with us fairly closely weekly as we're trying to get through a lot of those questions.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Since I'm not into the real estate, then I'm gonna need for you to help me with some definitions. So I have this 4 questions. And the first one is really combined. When you say an area median income, 60%, 30% to 80%. When you're talking about median income for the city of Benton Harbor, are you talking about the median income for Whirlpool, or are you talking about the median income that we know which the residents make? Because there's just this big discrepancy from those who are on assistance, those who are in these housing programs based on the poverty line, and then you have those who are employed for the second largest employer in the Barron County. So when you're talking about area income, we know that the area income right now, before Whirlpool came, was on a pretty low end. If you include them, then that changes the whole dynamics and would exclude a lot of low-wage working residents, a lot of Burger King, McDonald's, Taco Bell working residents. So the area mean income, I need some clarity on that. And as a physician who takes care of children and seniors, so the number of first floor with bathroom and bedroom is kind of really important for seniors. And then in this community, this was a family-based community that was not around the nuclear model of two parents, a mother, father, and a child, which would, qualify for a 2-bedroom, or a mother and a father and a boy and a girl, and that would give you your 3. Is there any way to at least have some families, and I'm talking law enforcement families that I know that have 4 children, if 4 bedrooms could be worked out into the mindset, and in your mixed use building, wrapping it up, room enough for a laundromat and a real supermarket. And the last question was, have we used any local African-American engineers? Thank you.
That's a lot of questions, so I'll do my best to take them. I may have to ask. Appreciate your comments. We use a lot of acronyms in our world, so certainly ask questions. AMI is always in question. And when you start to talk about housing right now, know that housing is always aligned with our funding mechanisms, right? Obviously, everyone knows with the cost of inflation, the cost of construction right now, we're working backwards to make sure that we deliver the best product for the city, the best design, the best amenities, but filling those gaps. The AMI from 60 to 120% is set by MSHDA through the funding mission. And those are AMIs that are posted. You can go to the MSHDA website for 60 to 120%. The income qualifications will be, will be certified through their process moving forward on that spectrum from area median income. As Aaron said, we're doing our best to focus on broad spectrum of income. As we said, such a fantastic article, by the way, was grateful to walk in and read it. Missing Middle, as you know, really focuses on middle income earners, your teachers, your first responders, your safety workers. And we are going to be designing customizable programs with that to create more attainable and affordable mortgage products, different layers of down payment assistance. And the design that we have, we appreciate that. It does follow the middle format, Missing Middle, which is, trying to create some mild density in that. And as Aaron said, we tried to accommodate that, to your point, the accessibility and visibility. Right now, 4 bedrooms really moves us to creating further gaps and additional costs. We only had two bedrooms programmed originally, but we were able to accommodate and try and work through some 3-bedroom units, those first floor accessible units moving forward. So we're doing the best we can to incorporate all the needs we can based on the financing that's available. And once again, moving in, I think your last question was on the
laundromat I want to touch base on the AMI as well. It takes into consideration the county.
Yeah, it's very
so
county
all
based.
of Berrien County. And for the Habitat units, we go from 30 to 80% AMI. So that 30% in Berrien County is currently around $17,400, up to the 80% around $45,000. So the Habitat homes will be for the lower to moderate income individuals.
Yes.
And families.
So the individual, when you're saying from the 17 to the 45, I mean, that would allow a mother managing Burger King to be within the range. So her 20,000 salary, 24,000 salary, what you're saying, she would be eligible to qualify for that.
Correct.
And she would need to have signed up with this program, like now, before the construction starts. Because I know Habitat in Humanity, the little part that I know, that volunteering, you have people who volunteer just to volunteer, like, me. And then you have people who are volunteering and with the hopes that down the road that one of the houses that they work on will be theirs. So, and I thought before it was kind of like a lottery, but I'm like I said, it's not a lottery, but somehow choosing the person who was going to get the house. Like I thought when you work on a house, it doesn't necessarily be, if you're in Detroit, east side Detroit, and somebody from East Point, Detroit, volunteers to work on a Habitat Humanity house, would that East Point person still be eligible for that house? How, I guess I'm really asking the selection.
What's the process?
Yes. Explain how it
So
works.
for the Habitat homes.
Yes.
So for the Habitat homes, they apply for our home ownership program. When they are accepted into the home ownership program, then they can begin their sweat equity. And that's their 300 hours of volunteering, building their homes and the homes of others, as well as taking financial literacy classes and workshops and what have you. They select their home depending on the number of bedrooms that that particular family needs. And we decide how many bedrooms they need based on the ages of the children and the sex. So if there's a mom with 2 children, if they are a boy and a girl, they would each have their own room. If they were 2 girls, if they were more than 5 years apart in age, they'd each have their own room. That's just how we say how many rooms they qualify for. How they arrange it when they get in there is their business. But they select out of the number of bedrooms that they need, they select the home. So they choose the home that they move into.
Right, so residents here need to sign up really now to get their 300 hours of sweat equity in for the start of this program.
So they could apply now. They don't necessarily have to apply right now in order to qualify for one of the homes. We have many families in the pipeline now. They've already selected a home or they're waiting for a home in a particular area. Once they hit 100 hours, they can select the home that they would like to live in.
So that population you're talking about from Ben Harbor.
They must live or work in the city for at least 1 year to qualify for a home in this area.
In order to avoid confusion, how many of the units
8.
within this would be Habitat homes?
8.
Okay, that's important for you to realize.
8 of the duplexes, 8 of the home ownership. The other 30 are missing middle.
Okay. So the 8.
Citizen, I got a question. So with this building going up, this construction, will the people who stay in the surrounding area where they property tax go up? That's my first question. My second question is, did you get a chance to talk to the residents that's in that area as well?
We have not spoken with the residents yet, but we are in communication with Commissioner Henry, and we are setting up a date and time to do that. As far as the property tax question, I don't know how to answer
I mean, the property tax values should be, the property taxes should be limited by the Headley Amendment. However, for those families who are looking to sell their houses for higher values, this will only help. So for people who are looking to stay, doesn't raise your taxes. For people who are looking to make a change and want to sell their houses, it should make it better.
Commissioner Henderson.
I have a question about the rental units, because in our community, what happens, a new unit will come in and be rented, but the property management side usually fails. So who will be the property management for the rental units once the units are completed? Who will be the person that's responsible for fixing garage doors, siding, or if something happens to any unit that's damaged or run down as a result?
I think we should clarify first, all of the duplex units are for sale. So the 30 and the Habitat 8 are all being sold to homeowners that will own them. It is the 4-story building with the 39 units that will be rentals, just to make sure we're all on the same page. And I'll let Shannon talk about the property management company.
We've interviewed multiple agencies. Our experience and our conversations has been with KMG Prestige. They're a statewide management company. They do manage properties in the area.
Who are some of the properties that they manage? Because that's important. And we need to be on a part of that selection process, because some of the ones that are being managed are horribly managed here in the community. So we really would like to have input.
What's the
on those
Rivers?
property
Three
management
Rivers?
companies.
Was it Three Rivers? We have a list we can provide, and from the initial feed, but from our experience, they're an excellent property manager. And we've heard, Aaron has shared the concern with some of the property
I have the same
management
concern, yes.
companies. We are happy to provide that information before a final decision is made. Once again, our funding mechanisms usually come in that we are seeking multiple different sources of financing, and as we get into the mixed-use building, a lot of the financing does, set terms for the requirements, and one of them is requiring capital reserves to ensure that the building that we're looking at historic mechanicals and looking at preservation of the building moving forward. It requires reporting now to state agencies on management, and it requires management companies that have a strong resume and support from the local community for those very reasons. But we're happy, we haven't finalized all of that. We've interviewed, and we're happy to continue to share the information as well as their background and their portfolio.
We work with KMG. We work, they work with us very well.
They're in most of our communities, they come highly recommended. We have worked with them, they're excellent. We're told that they're managing good properties, at least some from and Aaron was very particular about this area as well.
They're actually Chicago.
They're based in Michigan, but they have a portfolio throughout the Midwest, but they are managing properties here in Benton Harbor as well.
Mr. Henry, say something. Overseeing your ward.
I'm very pleased so far.
I think there was a couple of questions that we missed. We are working diligently, and Aaron will have more information once again for the retail. Know that, as a developer, the retail that we're looking at right now pays less than what the building cash flows. So that requires for us to really deliver the proper community-driven type of retail aspects. We need to bring in extra resources to help support and ensure the long-time viability. As Aaron said, we have had preliminary conversations with the Head Start program, with daycare. We have had multiple meetings when it comes to a market and grocery store. We're looking to secure that as well. But once again, there is a lot of mechanisms that we will need to bring in for the financing that's required to move a grocer into an LOI. And just a response, we have some space left. We've been, having discussions with a financial institution that can offer financial literacy classes. We've been talking to other groups. The only components that we would have when we start to look at something like a laundromat, because we do like community-driven assets, is, ensuring that we can meet the residential requirements, because there are residential units upstairs, and laundromats bring chemicals in, so that impacts design. We are open, so to having those conversations, because we will need to secure the tenants of that building when we move into financing.
Because they'll each have their own laundry, correct?
They're in unit laundry.
We haven't finalized it, but yeah.
Yeah, on the management part of real property, just a statement that it's definitely, you know, how they start out is how they finish. So if they are, you know, good to hear that they do have a track record, because we do have some issues in some of the places that, you know, start out and then fall off, and, you know, or start out too easy and then people get comfortable with easy, and then when they try to toughen up, it's, you know, so I'm a believer that if you do it right from the beginning, that it will last through the project.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's our goal. We've worked on a lot of affordable housing for decades throughout the entire state. And the key to that is securing a reputable property management company that, you know, from day one. So we will submit the credentials. We're welcome, you know, we're open to feedback on that. We believe that KMG is the right institution. They've got a great reputation with the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. And we have worked with them in the past in properties, and all types of properties, including some more difficult properties that have lower income and homeless population, where they've done an excellent job, and excellent referrals from other municipalities.
Dr. Thomas?
Thank you. Finishing up what you were saying, so, very good environmental, points that you made in terms of the laundromat, dry cleaners, the things that you would, salon, hair salon, those type of, almost incubator type situations. So that's like your first floor, and then there's gonna be a separate entrance for 3 floors of apartments. So the apartments are, so you're doing a rental for the apartments, and the housing complexes are gonna be the ones for ownership. That's what it sounds like.
Yes.
And that
Correct.
the K&G is gonna be the ones who are gonna manage your mixed use, your apartment building. So that's where your management is gonna come in, and it's gonna be the information taught to the homeowners that are gonna be doing taking care of the homes. And K&G has a good reputation, so it doesn't manage Colchic Village, it doesn't manage Bradford Village, which we call Napier Village, it doesn't manage Harbor Point, and it doesn't manage River Terrace. So those are areas of concern here in Hope 6. So the people who are in the duplexes, the people who are in the homes are home owners. And then you have apartments on 3 floors of apartments, and that makes up 39 apartments?
Correct. Yeah, 13 apartments a floor. Yep.
Okay, so, right, so the other ones that we're seeing here are gonna be home ownership, which is gonna be on the Union Avenue, which is gonna be off the Pipestone and off the Well. Those are gonna be homeowners.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then the apartment complex would be the renters, and they're gonna fall under different criteria in terms of, they're gonna be more middle, upper middle, income, renting those apartments, and those are gonna be 1 to 2 bedroom apartments, or studios, or what kind of mixes will be in there?
Excuse me. We're still working out those details because we have not secured a funding source yet.
Okay,
So it really depends on the funding source and what is required.
thank you.
I would say our target is mixed income. As you said, the full threshold, and likely a mix of studios, 1s, and maybe a smaller percentage of 2s, moving forward, and that those funding sources will drive a lot of our components.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. I think it's a good project, you know, I support it, especially now we have the Pipestone streets gonna get restructured, you know, so that'd be good, get right in there. And, Mr. Henry, you got something, Commissioner Henry?
Yes,
Third ward.
I wanted to say something too about our community block grant money. We're always hearing say we gotta spend the money. We got brand new homeowners. The state of Michigan is giving us, first time homeowners grant. We should take some of that and help out too. He's gone, but.
We'll take it.
Well,
And yes, Mishta,
We need
yeah.
to give our people that one step forward.
Uh-huh.
If you can pay your first house note and you already got equity built in it, you're way far ahead. So that 10,000, 15, 20,000, whatever we can do for that block grant that we got to spend, block grant money needs to be spent. So why not give it to the first time home buyers that are gonna be in our community and let them know that we appreciate them. Habitat's gonna teach them how to take care of their property, how to finance, all of that, but money will help them have that one step forward, that they build equity in their property. So,
That'd be great.
I don't know what you have to do.
I'll add to that. We do have a homeownership program. We have multiple projects like this running through the state. It's consistent with the statewide housing plan and your regional statewide housing plan. The overall goal is HUD is really doing a deeper dive that, the best pathway to generational wealth is to provide people an opportunity to purchase a home. And so we will create a larger collaboration that will be focused on the local community. As we said, we're bringing multiple lenders to invest here in Benton Harbor and invest in the people, where they're going to offer much more flexible home buying programs. We have several banks that are participating. We have had a conversation with the Michigan State Housing Development Authority to bring back their down payment assistance program, but to create what we call subordination, so we can bring in multiple layers of down payment assistance to even, add on. So for instance, Mishta's down payment can be layered with the $15,000 if we had community block grant money. But we're talking to the Federal Home Loan Bank, who also is looking to invest in the community. They have a new minority fund specifically. That's another $15,000. So we could layer all of these programs, and not only that, it could start to build the foundation for home ownership after the 38 communities, for other opportunities, is that, as the city starts to look at other housing options in this, moving forward. So we would definitely welcome the opportunity to layer in community block grant money.
They won't make a statement. I think this is, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, probably one of the biggest investments in the third ward, and probably since Mercy Hospital. Right. You've been around a while.
No,
Any other big?
no, there's nothing big as this besides Ox Creek.
Covers wards.
I'm pleased about it so far. We'll see about the details.
That's
But how do we
one
get,
big part of the gauntlet, to get through.
how do we get community block grant money involved in home ownership?
Director Little, you can speak on that? You get that question.
There's a process for doing it, and it has to go through the whole, but it's something that can be considered. I might mention there are also other first-time home buyer funds available. I know the CDC is working on a program with the Federal Home Loan Bank Board and several others, Horizon Bank and some others, I think, that are assisting in that. So, and I believe that Mr.'s also putting out some monies for that.
And I think it's our goal also to leverage in local employers. So if they want to participate, to offer additional down payment assistance for their staffing as well. So this isn't, as we said, an opportunity to really grow this program for the city and for it to stay after this project is occupied.
All right, let's wrap it up. Dr. Thomas.
So you're gonna be providing K and G references in terms of local. Like I
Yes.
said, we had those mishaps here, but we also had to deal with issues like there are some banks that have a poor track record for, and I'm not gonna say minorities, I'm gonna say like particularly in African Americans, because the federal definition of minority means European American female is also considered a minority based on the 1968 Civil Rights Bill. But we've had that problem here with home ownership and with banks. So are there going to be banks that will loan to African Americans in particular, as well as the other underrepresented groups?
That's our goal. So the Federal Home Loan Bank specifically is for Black and Brown minorities. Our goal is to target it. We also have limitations for fair housing that we have to allow the buyers to choose. But our goals are to bring in those programs that are specifically identified to make sure that we are connecting to those that have been most disinvested in the community with access. And we have had conversations with all the banks that Mr. Little discussed, including Horizon, including Federal Home Loan Bank, and bringing in. So our goal is to create those pathways to access those for the local neighborhood.
So as a systemic racism chair, I just ask you to have them present you the upward data up front so that they show that they have a history or a pattern. If they're starting something new, that's fine and great too. But that has been a major problem, as you know, throughout the United States. Thank you.
Understood.
Yes.
Any more questions? Guess we see you at the
Planning Commission next week.
Planning Commission.
next Thursday.
Yes.
Next Thursday.
Okay,
Thank you so
great.
much.
Thank you.
for the presentation. Great job.
Thank you.
All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Good job, City Manager. Assistant City Manager, working a little more.
Chair, good job, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Time, for your participation.
Good job, good job, good job.